say you're sorry. So look on further down.
Hey folks, Dumok the artist coming at you from a hidden bunker deep within the bowels of the city. Currently sitting and hanging out with Mrs. Dumok when I finally got the inspiration to make a video, to which Mrs. Dumok replied, "Oh God."
True, so true.
That's Mrs. Dumok right there. Now, for the past few weeks since the Newtown shooting, we have had a very vigorous, well, not Mrs. Dumok and I, we actually do tend to agree on this issue, about gun control. Now, you have one side that wants to ban all guns, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. Then you have the NRA side and the Republicans and the right-wing nutjobs that are scared and screaming that Obama's going to take away our guns using his magic Negro powers and going to essentially turn the United States of America into the United Socialist States of America. And, you know, as much as I try to be reasonable in my discussions about gun control, let me just state my position. I believe you have the right to own a gun. You're free to own a gun. You know, it's in the Constitution, the Second Amendment of the United States. You can have a gun. The problem is not gun ownership. It's stupid people with gun ownership. The problem is you have incredibly stupid, moronic individuals or people who are just clearly irresponsible owning guns. Just take a story I read not too long ago where a couple of young men, Caucasians, decided to walk down the street and fully armed, having assault rifles at the ready, and their goal was to try and have a discussion and a conversation about gun rights and gun ownership, etc. The problem was they were walking down the middle of the street, people were looking at them, and they, you know, discretion being the better part of valor, decided to go home, lock the doors, hide behind some furniture, and call 911. Why? Oh, I don't know, because people have been walking around with assault rifles and shooting people. Then you have LaPierre saying that we should have armed guards in all of the schools. Teachers should be going through commando training just so that they can teach our children, which obviously I find funny because not too long ago you had conservatives like Mitt Romney and several others calling teachers union thugs. So do you really want to have a bunch of unionized thugs being armed to the teeth with assault rifles? What do you think, honey? Should we be arming union thugs with rifles just before they have to negotiate their next contract? Do you think that perhaps if the teachers were armed, they might be able to get a better deal?
Probably.
Yeah, that would make sense. Let's arm the teachers. That makes total sense. You know, let's have a whole bunch of armed teachers walking into City Hall saying, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Governor, we would like to renegotiate our contract. Oh, yeah, and don't think about that comment calling us union thugs didn't go unnoticed. Yeah, let's have a conversation while I polish my automatic rifle with my 30-round clip. Let's see if we can get a good deal out of that. Now, as funny as that is, I have to get back to the real point of my video, which is, you know,
I do agree teachers are not paid fairly.
Yeah, that's
or treated fairly.
We have teachers in our family, so you can guess which side we're on when it comes to disagreements with problems with teachers unions. Now, getting back to the original point of my conversation, for the most part, given the current climate in the United States, a ban on military ordnance to civilians is a reasonable idea. It's reasonable. It's something that says, you know what? It's one thing having a handgun for defense. It's one thing having a rifle for defense. It's one thing even having a machine gun to overcompensate for your lack of masculine traits and go off shooting them in the range just to blow off some steam because you're not getting any nookie at home. But let's think about this for a minute. Do we really need American citizens to have military ordnance like assault rifles? Take the case of Adam Lanza. His mother owned high-powered rifles. Okay, the Bushwhacker 20 million BFG. You get the idea. She owned that gun. It was hers, and she was the first person that got killed with those guns. And what the NRA and what the gun lobbyists and the gun supporters are doing is they're not making their cause look good, especially when you're walking down the street fully armed and people are scared. Scaring people is the last thing you want to do. Yes, the American people have been buying more rifles, white people, and they've been buying a lot more bullets because they're afraid that Obama is going to take away their guns. But let's think about this for a minute. Are you making your cause look good when you're doing stuff like that? Are you making your cause look intelligent so that way reasonable people can go, you know what, let's reconsider this issue? Because quite frankly, the way gun owners and gun advocates, let me say this, right-wing gun owners and right-wing gun advocates, the way they're acting, it's almost as if they want people to start banning guns. Seriously, knock it off. You're making yourself look stupid. And to people who are in the middle of this conversation, like my wife and myself, I'll speak for me. I see a bunch of right-wing nutjobs acting stupid. I'm less likely to take their position in a reasonable debate than I am somebody who is willing to say, you know what, let's find somewhere where we can compromise. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the matter, and Mrs. Dumok is giving me the eye saying that it's time for me to finish and wrap up.
I'm not doing such thing.
Anyway, she has to deny it to look good because, she doesn't want to seem like the bad guy in this one. Anyway, this is Dumok the artist signing off. Mrs. Dumok says goodnight. Slanchini Falcha, have a nice day.
Into the sun, too close to heaven, love is fine.